I straightened the hem of my simple black dress, catching my reflection in the hallway mirror of my parents' suburban home. No designer labels, no flashy jewelry, just clean lines, practical fabric, and comfortable shoes. The kind of outfit you'd expect from a woman who spent her days in warehouses, dealing with shipping schedules and pallets. Ordinary, forgettable. That's exactly how my family liked to see me. Safia. Mom's voice carried sharply from the dining room. Everyone's waiting. Everyone, of course, meant my brother Michael, the golden child and real estate star. It meant Amanda, his social climbing wife with her family money and country club smile. And it meant my parents' closest friends, carefully selected to witness the grand story of Dad's retirement, all of them ready to toast Michael's bright future while ignoring mine. I drew in a long breath before stepping into the dining room. 10 years of biting my tongue, of living with their little jabs about my lack of ambition, of being the disappointment they whispered about when they thought I couldn't hear. But tonight felt different. Tonight, I carried a truth they didn't know was about to change everything. "There she is," Mom said as I entered, her smile too polished to be genuine. "We were just telling the Andersons about Michael's new project, the luxury condos." Michael leaned back in his chair, Rolex catching the chandelier's glow. "Breaking ground next month. Just need that construction loan finalized." Laughter and praise rippled around the table. I slid quietly into my usual place at the far end, the seat reserved for background characters in the family play. My phone buzzed with a message under the table. "All set for tomorrow, boss. Documents ready. Open at 9. "How's your job, Safia?" Mrs. Anderson asked politely, fumbling with my name. "Still at that, what was it again?" Before I could answer, Mom spoke over me, voice sweet but firm. "Safia's between things right now, still figuring out her path." I opened my mouth. "Actually, she manages a warehouse." Michael cut in, smirking. "Inventory and shipping. Riveting stuff." The table chuckled politely, and the subject moved on. I sipped my water, catching Mom's warning glance. "Don't embarrass us. Stay small." But if they only knew. 10 years earlier, while Michael partied through business school and Amanda climbed her way into the country club circuit, I had started from the ground up, literally. I wore steel-toed boots, walked warehouse floors, and listened to truck drivers more than professors. I wasn't networking with developers. I was building trust with the people who made commerce move. "Did you hear?" Amanda's voice sliced through the air. "The Richardson's daughter just made junior partner at her law firm. Wasn't she in your class, Safia?" "She was," I said simply. "See?" Mom jumped at the chance. "It's not too late, honey. You could go back to school. Law, maybe business, something respectable." I placed my fork down. "I like my job, Mom." "Sweetheart," Dad added gently, in that patronizing tone he always used. "You're too smart to spend your life in a warehouse." Even that nice Martinez boy became a dentist. The nice Martinez boy had asked me out last month, only to vanish when he learned what I did for work. His loss. Speaking of careers, Michael cut in smoothly. "Amanda and I are looking at vacation homes in Aspen. Once this deal is approved, we'll finally." "If it's approved," I murmured. The room froze. Michael narrowed his eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" I shrugged. "Banks are cautious. Luxury projects are risky right now. And you'd know this because..." Amanda's voice dripped with mockery. "Just something I heard." "Safia." Mom stood quickly, cheeks tight with forced grace. "Come help me with dessert." In the kitchen, her smile dropped. "What are you doing?" "Your brother has important people at this dinner. People who could help you if you'd stop." "Stop what, Mom? Being myself?" "Stop bringing up your pathetic job," she snapped. "It's humiliating enough explaining it to our friends." I thought of the briefcase in my car, the signed contracts, the scheduled meeting tomorrow, the empire they didn't even know I controlled. Back in the dining room, Michael's voice rang out, loud enough for me to hear as I carried in the dessert tray. "Who wants a warehouse manager in the family? She probably couldn't even afford the parking space at my new condos." The table laughed. I set the tray down carefully, my expression calm. "You're right, Michael. Probably not. But tomorrow might surprise you." Mom's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" I smiled. "Just a hint. only that things aren't always what they seem. They had no idea how true that was. 10 years ago, when a promotion slipped through my fingers, I walked away and started my own company in a garage apartment with one laptop. I called it Atlas Logistics. I knew something no one else cared about. The real power wasn't in glossy developments or cocktail parties. It was in controlling how things moved. Every brick, every beam, every shipment had to pass through someone's hands. I built the hands they all needed. While Michael flaunted condos, I built software that shaved millions off delivery costs. While Amanda climbed social ladders, I climbed supply chains. Atlas grew, quietly, steadily, until it managed half the country's retailers. And tomorrow, when the bank reviewed Michael's application, they'd hit a wall. Because Atlas was the very company the bank relied on to verify supply chains, and Atlas's CEO, me, was about to show them exactly where his project would fail. More wine, Safia? Amanda asked sweetly. Something to drown your warehouse sorrows? No thanks. Early meeting tomorrow. Michael chuckled. Counting boxes? Something like that. Dinner ended as it always did, Michael basking in praise, my parents beaming at him, friends clinking glasses, but beneath their laughter, I felt the tide shifting. Later, sitting in my modest apartment above the warehouse, I called my assistant. Are we set? Yes, Ms. Martinez. The bank's due diligence team will see that the proposed site has severe vulnerabilities. Without our support, the loan is dead. Unless they sign an exclusive premium contract with Atlas. And who owns Atlas Logistics? Through shell companies? Dozens. But in truth, you, the sole owner. Current valuation, just over $300 million. I leaned back, smiling. Tomorrow, they would finally see me, not as the family failure, not as the warehouse worker they dismissed, but as the woman holding their future in her hands. Mom and Dad sat close to Michael, their faces glowing with pride, as though simply being in this room proved their success as parents. They had pulled strings, called in favors, and dressed in their best to attend this meeting at the prestigious First National Bank. To them, this was Michael's victory lap. For me, it was something else entirely. The committee chair cleared his throat, adjusting his glasses as he flipped through the glossy packet Michael had prepared. Very impressive, Mr. Martinez. However, he tapped a finger on the page. We have some concerns about supply chain stability in today's market. Michael gave his signature dismissive wave, the one that used to charm professors and investors alike. Oh, that's all arranged. We've got contracts with multiple suppliers. Actually, a deeper voice cut across the room. Heads turned. Thomas Bradford, CEO of First National Bank, walked in, his presence alone shifting the energy. My parents stiffened in surprise. Bradford rarely attended loan committee meetings. His appearance meant something was about to change. Tom. Dad rose instantly, straightening his tie as though he were 20 years younger. What a pleasant surprise. It's been far too long. Bradford nodded politely, but his eyes stayed glued to the tablet in his hand. We've received some concerning reports about the project's logistics viability, according to Atlas Logistics. Michael's confidence wavered, his jaw clenched. Atlas, the name alone could make or break a development deal. Their reports were considered gospel in the banking industry. Atlas? Michael stammered, but they're just a logistics company. Surely the bank doesn't. Atlas Logistics, Bradford continued smoothly, controls 80% of construction material transport in this region. Their analysis suggests severe vulnerabilities in your supply chain. Without their support, material costs could increase by as much as 40%. The silence that followed was suffocating. My parents exchanged nervous glances. Michael's slick confidence was cracking, the mask slipping from his face. But, he stuttered, we can find other transport companies. In theory, Bradford agreed, but in practice, Atlas holds exclusive contracts with most of the major suppliers. They've revolutionized the industry. Very impressive company. His eyes flicked toward me briefly before adding, very private, too. I crossed one leg over the other, watching quietly. The satisfaction was a slow burn in my chest. What do you suggest? Mom's voice wavered, her polished composure beginning to falter. Bradford glanced at his notes. Atlas has indicated they might consider a premium service contract. If you're interested. Their CEO is actually here today. Michael whipped his head around, scanning the room frantically. Here? Where? I rose slowly, smoothing the skirt of my plain black dress. The fabric whispered against my legs as I stood tall. My heart hammered, but my voice was steady. Right here. The room froze. The only sound was the faint hum of the overhead lights. No, Michael's face drained of color. Yes. Bradford's mouth curved into a knowing smile. Miss Martinez has been one of our most valuable clients for years. Atlas Logistics holds significant accounts with us. Mom gasped, pressing her hand against her lips. Dad's posture collapsed as though a weight had settled onto his shoulders. Michael just stared at me, his Rolex catching the light uselessly, suddenly cheap against the reality before him. You? His voice cracked. You're Atlas? Founded it 10 years ago, I said evenly, back when you were laughing at my embarrassing warehouse job. But you never said anything. All those dinners, all those times you mocked me, dismissed my potential, treated me like the family failure. I finished for him. My hand slid over the tablet in front of me. Let's talk about those vulnerabilities in your logistics plan. For the next hour, I laid out every weak point in Michael's proposal with surgical precision. Unrealistic delivery timelines, inflated supplier promises, critical bottlenecks he hadn't even considered. I had receipts, reports, projections, all of it undeniable. Michael's face reddened with each slide. Finally, he slammed his palm against the table. This is absurd. You're sabotaging me on purpose. I met his glare without flinching. No, I'm doing my job, the same job you've spent a decade ridiculing. Mom's voice cracked. Safia, please, surely you can help your brother. Family should support each other. I cut in sharply. Not tear one another down. Not decide someone's worth based on appearances. The words hung in the air. For once, no one dared interrupt. Bradford cleared his throat gently. Perhaps we should discuss Atlas's premium service option. I tapped my tablet, pulling up the digital contract. Triple our standard rates. Exclusive 5-year commitment. Non-negotiable. Michael nearly choked. Triple? That would destroy our profit margin. Welcome to the real world of logistics, brother, where substance matters more than flashy presentations. Dad's voice was quiet, filled with something I'd never heard before, regret. All this time, while we were pushing you to change careers, I was building an empire. I finished softly, one warehouse at a time, one contract at a time, one innovation at a time. The committee members shifted in their seats. They knew what Michael now knew. Without Atlas, his project was dead before it began. Finally, Michael's shoulders slumped. His voice was flat, defeated. The premium contract. Can we see the terms? I sent it to his tablet with a flick of my finger. As he scrolled, his expressions shifted rapidly. Shock at the price, anger at the conditions, and finally, dawning horror when his eyes landed on the signature block. This has to be approved by the CEO personally. That's right. I allowed myself a small smile. That would be me, the warehouse manager you're so ashamed of. Mom's tears spilled silently. Dad stared at his hands, unable to meet my gaze. The committee avoided eye contact, clearly uncomfortable with witnessing the implosion of our family dynamic. I stood, tucking my tablet neatly into my bag. Mr. Bradford, I believe we're done here, unless my brother would like to revise his proposal. Michael's voice was hoarse. I'll need time to recalculate. As I walked toward the door, Bradford joined me, his stride calm and assured. That was rather dramatic, he remarked under his breath. Sometimes, I replied, the lesson has to be dramatic to stick. And the premium contract? Will you enforce it? I thought of every insult, every condescending smile, every time I had been the family's punchline. Then I thought of tomorrow, of Sunday dinner, of the silence that would finally be mine. That depends, I said evenly, on what I hear at the next family gathering.